We're back here today for a new Eternal Return Black Survival video, checking out Bernice Character Spotlight. This is for the new character coming out tomorrow or day after, I think it is. And we'll check out the abilities and the model. He uses a sniper rifle. He's kind of like Quinn versus Graves even, like a little mishmash of that from League of Legends. It's pretty cool. Here's the model. It's an actual sniper rifle, but like, it's a shotgun at the same time, I guess. I don't know exactly. Looks pretty cool though, very manly, very, very big. Why not? Why the hell not? The skills. So as you can see here, he's a sniper. Has a sniper skill right there, as you can see. And his auto attack is this shotgun style thing. And his shotgun, you'll notice the shotgun is very short range. His passive is buckshot. So what happens is pretty much your auto attack is now this short range. It looks a bit longer than pistol. And it shoots multiple bullets. And you can get hit by multiple of them at the same time. So if you're really close to this guy, multiple bullets hit you, you'll take a lot of damage. As you can see here, depending on the number of bullets you take. He also reloads really, really fast, as you can see, and he reloads faster depending on the level of his passive. It looks really, really interesting. AoE, obviously, is insane to start with. Put some ENAD on this character. This is slightly sped up, but I don't know if that little, like, cocking of the shotgun there, if that's actually the reload animation, or it's just, like, auto-attack animation. It's hard to tell, because sniper rifles have very low ammo counts by default, so I'm not too sure exactly what that animation is exactly. Looks really strong though, anyway. Leg shot. This is an AoE slow. Travels reasonably far, really, really fast also. And you're just a plain old slow. If the enemies are rooted, and then you hit them with this ability, it does extra damage and slows them for a moment. I assume it means like, it's slightly longer again. You can root them with your W ability. Foothold trap. It's Caitlyn trap pretty much from League of Legends. It looks really, really quick. There's like no animation for arming. Like, it just kind of opens up and that's about it. It looks really, really fast. So it might be kind of like an actual CC tool in some ways. You can have multiple traps set at the same time. And you can have more of them depending on the level. So I assume the duration's much longer than the cooldown in that case. As you can have multiple of these. Looks pretty powerful. Probably 3 like Caitlyn. You can assume at the end of the day. Probably the same kind of idea there. Looks pretty good though. And as you can see, a little falcon boy comes down. His E ability is falconry. So passively, Bernice marks enemies that step on foot traps, which is the thing above, this thing here up here, and it gives them vision and increases his movement speed when moving towards the marked target. So you don't run faster by default, only when they have the bird on them, the mark, and you run towards them. Also, your normal attacks on marked enemies are just a cooldown of your leg shot, which is your cube, which is the AoE slow, and your explosive bowlers, which is the ultimate ability. When you activate the ability, Bernice Falcons hovers in the air, increasing your vision range for a moment, and the Falcon marks nearby enemies. Depending on this cooldown, it could be insane. Look how far I can see by default. It's because sniper rifles have good range. That is massive range. This is insane how far this can see on the map. Like, this alone could be like a tool that makes him like kind of busted and really safe, because obviously being able to see far is really, really powerful. Movement speed and whatnot look okay, it doesn't seem that fast. The extra cooldown reduction might be powerful too. The ultimate looks pretty weird. Explosive bowler. Bernice fires his fire bowler in a targeted direction, dealing damage to the first enemy hit and rooting them. After a few seconds it explodes, dealing damage to the rooted enemy, and spreading to the nearest enemy in the chain. So, this is double speed. It looks like it's about 2 seconds of a root. That's a long root. That's a long freaking time. But it also, like, spreads out and goes back and forth multiple times. The problem is, in solo play, how does this work? If I focus on one guy by himself, is it just a 2-second root? Is that it? That's not that good if it's your ultimate ability. For, like, the damage is low. It's AoE cool, but, like, unless they're fighting near animals or whatever, this has, like, really low value, or you're teaming people, possibly. I guess the one saving grace you could say is that maybe the ultimate can be very low cooldown. For example, Rosie's cooldown is very, very low on her ultimate. And by default, it's not that powerful, but because of the cooldown and it always being up, it's like a very useful tool. This also gives the hero some carding potential, because the biggest issue right now for this hero I see is that he has no escape. He has no dash, no jump over walls. Movement speed increase is towards enemies. So he's an all-in range hero. which is kind of interesting. You do have the traps, you do have the bowlers here, so that's your ultimate. Let's say the cooldown's a minute. That's pretty high. A 2-second root. They can still cast abilities, for example. And then you have this here. It looks pretty fast, honestly, for, like, rooting people. But you can avoid it a little bit. It's like Nadine Trap a little bit, possibly. Looks okay. I guess you do have a slow hit, too. Just to me, personally, without some sort of form of a movement skill, it's just kind of rough sometimes if you want to kite. His attack speed's very fast. I know it's sped up, but it's still very, very quick. And I get the people jump on top of you, you can still shoot them back and do 1 billion damage. Because obviously if they jump on you, they get hit by 4 shots. If you have ENAD, imagine you play like just ENAD hard, but with like pistols or with rifles. You just get multiple hits at the same time. This is doing 73 times 4, so 280. And then you have like 50 to 60 ENAD on top of that, so another like 200 damage. Could be kind of good. It actually might be a thing where you run at people and just fight. It might be like Cafe Syndrome, where you just go in and just smack people all day. It looks interesting, I don't mind it. But unless he can kite reasonably well, instantly you have to be able to go all in, which is always hard in this game. So if you're behind, you're in trouble. In saying that, if the numbers come out very, very good, like this is lots of damage, the slow is effective, it's my like, 50%, this trap's instant pretty much, the cooldown on the falconry, it might be hard to catch him. Unless you have, unless they come from the bush or something like that, you should never get engaged in them without you knowing. Sniper rifles have increased radius already, like vision range, and this falconry thing again on top of that gives you even more range. So it might be a sleepy bugger to catch, honestly, but I don't mind it. I think it's really cool. Another sniper rifle character in the game is really, really nice. The sniper rifle weapon skill is really cool also, but it all comes down to the numbers at the end of the day. If this trap is 6-second cooldown, if his ultimate's 12 seconds or, 20 seconds, he might be viable. The damage looks very, very high, though. This looks like a snowballing character 101. It might be like, each bullet's like slightly less damage. Like the first bullet's like, 100%, second bullet's 80%, something like that possibly. But from my understanding, if you get hit by all 5 bullets, you eat shit. Looks pretty cool like that. But that's why I think it's good against melee heroes. And range heroes could possibly be bad. If it does less damage per shot, it could be, still pretty powerful, like a Della style. But it still looks pretty good. Even if it's half damage on second shots. If it's full, it can't be full damage. If it's full damage, he'll just destroy every melee hero in the game, and you won't be able to play melee heroes against him at all. So it has to be, like, slightly less, I assume. Catching people, I guess, is actually doable also. You have a slow, you have this bird form. Like, you just press E, find somebody, run at them. It doesn't look that fast from his animation here, which is kind of bad. It might be rank 1, for example. He might get faster the more ranks he goes up. But for now, I'm actually, like, pretty happy with this character. He's not super, like, in-depth, but he's a ranged character who goes all in, who isn't Rosie, which is kind of nice. And we have some more sniper rifles getting some usage, which is pretty cool. I'm happy with that. Not a bad character.